Welcome back to my channel. I'm Michelle, and today I'm going to be talking about Emily Henry. I am an Emily Henry stan. I adore her. I call her Em-Hen. I am a stan. And because I'm an Emily Henry stan, I read every single book that she has released last year. She released one book last year, but I've read everything that she's released last year. I read Beach Read in January, and then by the end of the year I'd read her entire backlist, and also The People We Went on Vacation, which came out last summer at some point. Her newest book, Booklovers, comes out today. I will be making a journey to get it at some point today. I'm very excited about it. I love it. I've heard people say that it rivals Beach Read, and one, that's not something I'm truly ready for, because I think if it is better than Beach Read, it might be my favorite book of all time. Because right now Beach Read is like maybe number 2 of standalones, where we have Miss Evelyn as number 1 still. She's still holding strong at the top of the stack of my favorites, but like Emily Henry could be coming through for her throat. Like, watch out, Taylor Jenkins Reid. Anyway, so I'm going to walk you through everything that Emily Henry has written, and then kind of talk about my favorites and what I think you should read. Because I think a lot of people have read her adult work, but she actually got her start in YA. I think some of her stuff, her YA stuff is brilliant, and I think people should read it. So I'm going to be going through, I think, and this is, I believe, in publication order, but I could be lying to you. Okay, so the first book I'm going to talk about is The Love That Split the World. Like I said, Emily Henry got her start in YA, and most of her YA is kind of speculative. So it's very grounded in our reality, but there's normally some elements of magic. Love That Split the World, definitely this is true. This one is kind of like a alternate reality split dimension sort of situation. So we have Natalie, and she, from the time she was a child, has had this woman she calls grandmother, who comes and tells her stories when she's like lying in bed living her best life. And then during her kind of like lead up to her high school graduation, she starts to see things that don't really exist. Like, her reality gets like split. I think it starts with like her during graduation, she sees the field where like their school is like should be filled with people, instead it's like filled with buffaloes. So Nat starts seeing versions of her world that are like alternate realities. And then she's trying to like kind of chat with Grandma about this. And Grandmother, I pictured kind of as like Grandmother Willow from Pocahontas meets a sleep paralysis demon, because this only happens to her at night. When she was like little, they like sent her to some psychologists, and I don't think they figured it out. I might be amending that. I read this one fairly early. And the grandmother figure tells Natalie, you have 3 months to save him, which, like, we love the pronoun game. Keep it vague. And so we quickly come to believe that this is talking about Beau. And Beau is this boy who is the same age as Natalie, but only exists in the alternate version of her town. But Beau and her start to fall in love. He is like truly a gem. He is a gem. Their romance is so sweet. Beau is just like a 10 out of 10 out of 10. And Beau talks about how the only thing he wants from his life is like a front porch. And goddamn, if I just wanted anything out of this book, it was that Beau should get his front porch. This book ends kind of weird. It has a very ambiguous ending, but I still loved it. Did I cry? Yeah, a lot. Like, I cried in this book. Okay, next up in the Emily Henry journey, we have A Million Junes. A Million Junes is about these two families, the O'Donnells and the Angerts, and they have had a family rivalry for like several generations now. So we're following the story from June, and June is an O'Donnell, I believe, and they have like a magic cherry tree, which is like pretty tight. And June's father has recently passed away, and she's kind of like grieving that loss. And again, we're taking place in the summer between college and like her senior year of high school. I actually think this one starts a little earlier. I think we're still in her senior year. And so she develops a little crush on a boy, and this boy is from the Angert family, and so it is about them trying to kind of uncover what the heck is their family feud even about, like why do their families hate each other, and also becoming very close friends, and then getting like romantically entangled as they both are kind of learning to cope with their grief. So like I mentioned, June's father has recently died, and she's coping with her grief about losing her father, while also kind of learning more about him and learning that he might not have always been the guy that June saw him as. Like, learning about her mother's understanding of her father. And then Saul, the boy that she loves that's an Angert, his twin sister died, I think from cancer, like a year prior as well. And so there's magic, there's these like things called wisps that they like are like little magic like memories that these guys can step into, and they are like uncovering the mystery of what happened to their family as they step into these wisps, but also kind of learning to just like work through their grief. Honestly, this feels very, very similar to beach read. If you loved beach read and you just want like to read another beach read, I would 100% recommend A Million Junes, which is also we've got a lot of similarities. We've got our same month named girl. We have January in beach read. We have June in A Million Junes, and we also have Dead Dads. And there's also a body of water that becomes like fairly important. So, a lot of similarities. Her last solo kind of speculative fantasy YA is When the Sky Fell in Splendor, which is the story that feels like an alien story. Spoiler, it's not an alien story. Honestly, that would have been a helpful spoiler for me because I think I would have enjoyed it more if I would have known that there was no aliens. But they think it's aliens. Essentially, it's this like gang of kids, and they are like trying to become like YouTube stars. Aren't we all? They like make little cute documentaries about their town, and they one night a big flash of light happens, they catch it on film, but then they like all pass out, and then they wake up and they have like magic powers. And it's about them trying to like figure out what happened. The government is involved, and the government is trying to like be like sneaky Pete, like Stranger Things start happening, like, you know, like Stranger Things when the government comes and is like, what is going on? Everyone's sus of everyone else. There's like a creepy old man, but I think the larger story, this story is quietly about kind of like communal grief and trauma, because underlying all this, we find out like a year or two earlier, there was this huge mill accident in town. Like almost everyone worked at this mill, and there was an accident in which I think the mill maybe like exploded. I don't know, like everyone died that was working in the mill that day or was like grievously injured. Almost everyone lost someone in this mill accident, and it is about how this community is like grieving, and then we have like alien magic that's not aliens on top of that. It's my least favorite of Emily Henry's books. I still think it's very good, but I didn't feel like it was like as tight as some of her other pieces. I need you to look at me. Everyone, look at me. If you're still with me, I need you to look at me in my eyeballs, because this is the most underrated Emily Henry novel. I've never heard another soul speak of this novel, so I will continue to speak louder till more people read it. She co-wrote this novel with Brittany Cavallaro. It's called Hello Girls. Okay, you're gonna see the cute purple cover with the girlies on the cover. I read this. I probably wouldn't have read this book except I was on this mission to read everything that Emily Henry has ever written, because I had literally never heard another soul speak on it. And I think it is my second favorite under Beach Read. Beach Read is my favorite. I love Beach Read with my whole heart. But Hello Girls is like a close second as far as Emily Henry favorites. It is stunning. It's another YA. This one doesn't have any magic in it, but it's about these two teenage girls. We have Winona and Lucille, and they're both fleeing very difficult home situations. Winona is living with just her dad. Her dad is a single dad, and he's like the town weatherman, and so like everyone in town loves him, but he's like pretty abusive. So it's bad news. And then Lucille is living with her single mom and her brother is like a drug dealer and like is very bad news. It's just like a very toxic situation. And so the girls decide that they're going to run away together, but like they're teenage girls, and like they have like kind of saved up some money, but something goes awry. And so instead they start to just do some like light crimes. So it's about like their crime spree as they run away across the country. All the while Winona's dad is like trying to track them down, because remember, he's a weatherman that everyone loves, and so her face is all over, and they're trying to like run to Las Vegas. That's where Winona's mom lives. They like get into a lot of drama, and it's definitely like heavier at parts as they kind of talk about their bad family situations, but I think overall it's really joyful. It delves into the like deep intimacy that happens in these kind of teenage friendships that I think is like very rarely explored. And it's like a friendship romance. Like we are watching them. I mean, they've already been friends when the novel starts. They've been friends for a while, but we are watching them just like love each other in this like really beautiful way, like through their friendship, and it's just like gorgeous and stunning, and I think everyone should read it. It's like a pretty fast read. I think the audiobook was only like 6-ish hours, and I just like truly adored it. It's so underrated. There's like, yeah, it's just so good, and no one's reading it, and everyone needs to read it. Go right now. If you read Beach Read and you loved it, and you read People We Meet on Vacation and you loved it, go find Hello Girls and read it. You probably can't even get out the store because I don't know if anyone's read it. I'm gonna go look how many reviews it has on Goodreads. I'm sure you care. It only has 3,000 ratings on Goodreads. That's like none. 3,000 ratings? How many does Beach Read have? Like probably like 500,000. Everyone's read Beach Read. Yeah, Beach Read has 413,000. So, like, less than 1% of the people who have read Beach Read have read Hello Girls. And that's a travesty. Go read Hello Girls right now. If you heard nothing else I say in this video, go read it. Immediately. Immediately go read Hello Girls. It's so good. Next up, we have the Queenie Bellini herself, Miss Beach Read. I read this book, like I said, in January of 2021. I finished it and then I started it over and read it again. Like, I closed the last page and I started at the beginning, and then I read it 2 more times last year. What? This book just became, like, such a comfort read to me. I think I, like, read it at a really pivotal time. I was just starting to edit my first ever novel, and I just, like, found the way that Emily Henry wrote both Augustus and January so touching. I think about the line, I have it bookmarked. I think about the line, "When I watch you sleep, I feel overwhelmed that you exist." But also, my underrated favorite line from this is, "He fits so perfectly into the love story I imagined myself that I mistook him for the love of my life." Which is when January's talking about her ex-boyfriend. But, like, Beach Read is gorgeous. If you haven't read it, it is the story of January and Augustus. They are both writers. They went to the same college. They, like, vaguely know each other from college. Augustus is a literary fiction writer. January writes, like, women's fiction, romance books. And they wind up living next to each other on this lake. They both have, like, lake houses next door to each other. January's lake house was actually left to her by her late father, and she finds out that her late father was having an affair with this woman from the town where she's now living. And so she's kind of trying to grapple with her father's death and coming to terms with the fact that her father isn't who she thought he was. Then she has, like, in college they were kind of like rivals a little bit. And so her and Gus decide to switch genres because that sounds fun. And so she's going to write a literary fiction novel and he's going to write a romance. And then a romance ensues and it's the best. This book is so good. It is one of my favorite books of all time. This is what put Emily Henry on the map for me, and I hope she never comes off the map. And like I said, I've heard that Booklovers is a close, like, people love Booklovers as much as they love this book, which, like, I can't even imagine. Can't even imagine! I didn't mention. I cried so much in this book, so do be aware of that. This book made me cry like a baby coming home from the bar. And then last year, she released The People We Meet on Vacation. The People We Meet on Vacation is also delightful. It's about Poppy and Alex. They met when they were in college, and then have started going on vacations together every summer. And they've been doing this for a long time. They're really close friends. But then 2 years ago, something happened on one of their vacations, and they haven't really spoke to each other since. But Poppy really misses her friendship with Alex, so she decides that they're going to go on one last vacation. And she works for, like, a travel blog, or travel magazine of some sort. And so she arranges for her and Alex to go to Palm Springs, which works out well because Alex has, like, a wedding down there. Like, his brother's wedding, maybe? I don't know. So they're going to go on that last vacation together to see if they can, like, heal their friendship. And not only do they heal their friendship, but they also fall in love. Just kidding. They were already in love. You knew it. It's like a gorgeous friends to lovers. I sometimes struggle with friends to lovers because I want to see their, like, initial meetings, but we get to see them become friends in this novel as well. It's told in 2 kind of separate timelines. We get the main one of them in Palm Springs, the present day timeline, but we also get to see a bunch of their past trips and all their different trips that they went on. And I don't know if I've ever read a book where 2 characters had better chemistry. I was like, Poppy and Alex clearly need to be together, like, very early. Like, I cannot express enough how good their chemistry was. But of course they have, like, very different goals for her life. Poppy wants to be a travel blogger. She wants to, like, run around and go on an adventure. She, like, hates the idea of being stuck. And Alex really craves stability and, like, he wants to, like, settle down and have kids and, like, build a life in one place. So their like, visions for the future really didn't align. And so will they be able to make it work? I don't know. This book only gave me misty eyes. Like, I got misty, but I don't think I cried like a baby coming home from the bar. Like, I think I just got a little teary-eyed. Where, like, Beach Read, sobbing, screaming, crying. Perfect storm. Now we're going to take a quick intermission where I give you a Dance Mom style pyramid of my ranking of the Emily Henry books. You probably have already figured it out from the way I've talked about them in this video so far, but I'm going to lay it out for you straight. Not including Book Lover because, again, I haven't read that. I'm going to go pick it up today from Barnes & Noble as a treat for myself. And we're on to our Dance Moms style Emily Henry pyramid ranking. On the bottom, we have When the Sky Fell on Splendor, which is good, but it wasn't great. Next, we have Love That Split the World, which was excellent. I loved it, but someone has to come here. Then we have The People We Meet on Vacation. This might be controversial, but I loved the other two more than I loved this one, even though I loved this one quite a bit. Next, we have A Million Junes, which is just Beach Read Jr., which is why it ranked so high. Then we have Hello Girls, which, if you were paying attention, you know that I think this is an underrated, gorgeous, amazing, everyone should read book. And then finally, on the top of the pyramid, to no one's surprise, is the queen herself, Miss Beach Read. She's unbeatable. I'm not sure where Booklovers is going to fall in this ranking, but I will be happy to keep you updated. I'm hoping maybe she bumps A Million Junes, but she might even bump Hello Girls. Who knows? It might even be Beach Read that she knocks off the top. Okay, that is all I have for you. That is kind of a brief introduction to all of the Emily Henry books in her backlist. She's a gorgeous writer. I have not had a bad time in a single one of her books I've read. I think her adult romances are great, but some of her YA stuff is really wonderful if you're open to a little bit of magic and to a YA book, so it's going to be a little bit younger. Subscribe if you are interested in more book content. What is coming soon? I don't know. Who knows what is coming soon? But all I know is Emily Henry's Booklovers is coming soon. And I imagine that will be on a wrap-up coming to a screen near you soon. I would be shocked if it's not one of my favorites. Shocked and appalled. Me and Emily Henry are too close for that to happen. Let me know what your favorite Emily Henry book is and why is it Beach Read in the comments below. Some people's favorite is this one. Your opinion is valid, but no, it's not. That's wrong. This book is the best cartoon cover romance, period. Period. Everyone, I just want to embarrassingly admit that I'm crying actual tears reading Emily Henry's newsletter. It's mostly about yogurt so far, but I just got down to the bottom. And I knew she was including a little excerpt of something, but I assumed it would be an excerpt from Booklovers because that comes out on Tuesday. I'm very excited about it. But it's about Gus in January. I haven't actually read it. I read one sentence and I just saw the word Gus and started crying. I have to tell you, I read it all and I cried more tears. A slightly over emotional reaction. But I did make audible sobs. Anyway, I think I'm gonna print this out and put it in the back of Beach Read. Is that allowed? I think so.